welcome to the first episode of BeMetals' new monthly series hosted by Six. I'm pleased to introduce our speakers for today, John Wilton, President and CEO at BeMetals, as well as Derek Iwanaka, Vice President of Investor Relations and Corporate Development. Derek and John are going to walk us through a company presentation, and after, we're going to be taking questions live in a Q&A session. You can submit your questions using the Q&A tab found on the right-hand side of your screen. And further to the right on your screen is the Handouts tab. Today's presentation is available for download. As always, this event is being recorded and is going to be available on Six.com in the coming days. And because this is the first episode of BeMetals' new monthly series, with your registration and attendance today, you'll automatically be notified of episode 2 when we figure out a date for that. But gentlemen, I'd like to kick things over to you to get started.
Great. Thanks very much, Cam. Appreciate that. And appreciate people for logging on to get really an update from us on where we are at the moment with BeMetals and our exploration projects. Specifically today, focusing on the results we put out yesterday from the Kato project over here in Japan. So I think without further ado, we'll start to move through our slide decks. And just to give you, many of you will be familiar with this slide, but it really gives an overview of where our projects are across the world, including our Pangeni copper project in Zambia, where in fact we have, as of this week, completed another phase of shallow air core drilling, testing for extensions to the mineralization we've already discovered underneath the thin Kalahari sand cover. And actually just yesterday, I was having a meeting here in Tokyo with JOGMEC, the Japanese state agency, our joint venture partners and co-funding partners on that project. And we're encouraged by the results we're starting to see coming out of that air core program. And very shortly, in the next week or two, we'll be starting a phase of follow-up core drilling. We also have our South Mountain project in Idaho in the USA, which is related to the exploration of a very high-grade zinc, silver, gold, copper polymetallic deposit, what we geologically call a carbonate replacement deposit. That style of mineralization is known to deliver significant mineralization. And on that project at this time, we're in the middle of completing a ground fixed loop EM survey to further map that high-grade mineralization at depth and along strike. And we'll be assessing the results of that survey in the coming months. And now, obviously, to focus on the main topic for this webinar today is our Kazan gold property over here in Japan, where we are currently drilling on the Kato project, one of 5 projects that we have over here, highly prospective for gold exploration. The reason for the spread of our projects is that we're really driven by the geology, prospectivity, and opportunity that we see in our portfolio and in new opportunities that come our way. We have to go where the correct geology can deliver large-scale, ideally low-cost or high-grade metallic deposits. Prospectivity, very important. How easy is it to explore in the terrains that you've selected with that potential? And obviously, you need the opportunity, the business opportunity and ability to close deals to unlock those prospective terrains. So we'll be looking now at our Kazan Gold Project, specifically at Kato, where about a year ago we brought in a larger drill rig to be able to deal with the large clay-related alteration systems that we see around this epithermal mineralization. We've also, for the first time here in Japan, brought in that green unit that you see just behind the drill rig, which is a centrifuge, and we use that to clean the drilling muds as we're drilling these holes. That, I think, has improved our ability to drill in this area with the insertion of large diameter casing. Environmentally, also very useful things to have on site. It means we don't have the need to dig large sumps as we would have done in the past into the ground. And we can use generally a system of tanks and that mud cleaning unit, which I think are going to become sort of a globally required piece of equipment for future exploration drilling. So just zooming in a little bit now to where we are over here in Japan. As I mentioned, we have 5 projects, 3 up on Hokkaido and 2 down on Kyushu. We've been active in the last 6 months, really, on all our properties. And in fact, right now we have a geological team down at Toshiro looking for outcropping information, discussing potential access agreements with landowners on the Toshiro project. That's ahead of a planned drone high-resolution aeromagnetic survey that we hope to complete in the next 6 weeks or so. Also, the Hokusatsu license, which is about 12 kilometers to the northeast of the Hishikari gold mine. As you'll have heard from us before and from other companies working in this area, Hishikari being commonly referred to as the highest grade gold mine in the world, hosted being a epigenetic deposit hosted in similar rocks to what we're exploring throughout Japan. And then up on Hokkaido, we have our Kato, Konomai, and Todoroki project. You will have seen some results coming out some months ago from channel sampling, surface sampling across outcropping mineralized veins that were previously mined at Todoroki. At Konomai, we expect to start a soil sampling program in the next few weeks. But the focus has been, or the more advanced focus has been, our drilling operations up at Kato in Hokkaido. So this is a plan map of the simplified geology within the Kato project itself. What I'm going to step you through on the next slides initially is the section line A to B, and then we'll look at another section line C to D. So these are slices down into the earth, and we're going to look end in to the northwest into those section lines and walk you through the recent drilling results, specifically from the whole KT22/12. I think what's also important to look at on this base plan is that we do have significant distance, more than 1,400 meters to the southeast, high-grade surface sampling results, mainly from the Seto River in gold. So the broader sense here, what we're trying to do with our mineralization, that we've now identified in 2 veins, the Seto vein being the lighter pink color, and the Kamitaki vein in darker purple. We're looking to extend that mineralization further to the southeast to get us to a scale potential that development at Kato might become economically attractive. Based on the results we have to date, including yesterday's KT2212 results, we've decided to expand our program, drill more holes in this phase, this first phase of drilling for BeMetals at the property. And we've now extended the Seto vein approximately 160 meters on strike. And at the significant widths and grades that we're seeing, that's really a positive impact for the project. Also, we've identified a new vein zone called Kamitake, which we think has also the potential to expand further to the southeast as we continue our step-out drilling in the in the next weeks. So let's look now at a section line, a slice through line, the blue line there, A to B. And these are the results we disclosed into the market yesterday, which certainly appeared to have got a favorable reaction in the market that we would have expected. Really what we're seeing here is a continuation and continuity of the Setter vein, which is the red area to the right of the drilling results. As we approach the Setter vein, we see what we're calling the Setter stockwork zone. So it's a relatively low-grade area in the halo of the main quartz epithermal veins themselves. And then we intersected some really nice mineralized zones that include 26 meters at over 3 grams per ton. And within that, we have 10 and 5 meter zones running between 4.8 and 5.76 grams per ton, respectively. Also, what's encouraging here is this is following the model that we revised from work with Dr. Solito on a previous visit here to the to look at the historical core from the Kato project. And what we've identified is that a lot of the historically drilled mineralization, both of Kazan and formerly MMAJ, the Japanese state agency, was probably focused too shallow in the geological sequence at Kato and up in what we call the steam heated zone, which is really an overprint on the epithermal mineralization, the main veins themselves. But nonetheless, that sort of relatively low grade, broad intersection does give us an indication of potentially higher grade and more continuous mineralization at depth as we move down the sequence. As I mentioned, what was encouraging from the results of KT2212 was that on our way to drilling the Setter vein target, we also intersected a second vein, now named the Kamataki vein, which we've intersected in the upper portion of that mineralization. And we'll look at our future drilling targets to explore the down dip grade continuity and extent on the Kamataki vein, and also step that out along strike. Nonetheless, already we're seeing some interesting grades coming from 4 and 2 meter type width intersections at about 0.84 grams per ton and 0.81 grams per ton. And that could also be an indication that the Kamataki vein is sitting at a slightly different elevation compared to the Setter vein. And we will need more drilling information to be able to understand the Kamataki vein in parallel with the Setter vein, which is only some 40 meters away on cross section. Again, this slide sort of emphasizes the blue lines that were drilled in the in earlier phases of exploration by Kazan on the property, and the difficulties that they had in penetrating through the clay alteration, often associated with the steam heated zone of the epithermal mineralization. So in the next slide, we will now take a step back to the results that we previously issued in KT2211. So this slice through the Kato geology is approximately 100 meters further to the northwest. And there you see that the encouraging part is we've also intersected the Setter vein, slightly higher grades than what we've seen in K22212, but we're still building up a picture of the distribution of the gold mineralization. So as we bring in more and more intersections, we will better understand where the high-grade parts of this system are developed and be able to trace them along plunge of the setter structure. The reason we think that this hole did not intersect the newly identified Kamataki vein is because it probably drilled past the northwestern edge of that newly identified mineralized zone. In the bottom right-hand corner there, we're seeing some pictures of the core before it was sampled from the setter vein zone in hole number 11. And geologically, what we see there are the typical textures of quartz and other mineralogical features typically associated as hallmarks of large epithermal gold systems. So really what we're seeing is geologically an encouraging picture of grade continuity and extension at setter to date. And currently we're drilling hole 13 and 14, another 100 meters step out to the southeast of hole number 12. So really testing the full scale potential along strike. And in subsequent holes, we will also be drilling deeper in the system to see what happens to grade continuity at depth. So this slide really summarizes the results, the highlights, if you want to call them that, from the Kato exploration. The drilling in the early 1990s, completed by the then Japanese state agency. These were the the sort of intersections that made the team interested in this project. We've been able, they were followed up by Kazan in the in 2018, 2019, where they drilled relatively shallow holes, but still significant intersections of relatively low tenor gold mineralization. And now we've been able, with improved larger scale equipment, to drill deeper into the Kato system, and we're starting to see a general increase in the gold grades, but importantly, seeing that continuity on the setter vein, which is the wider vein zone that we've intersected to date, but also discover other mineralized veins, and I think that trend will continue as we step along strike and down dip on the Kato system. There's a picture of me at the drill rig earlier this week, where our field team in Kazan, working closely together with the drilling team of Energold, are also starting to improve the drilling technique and the design of the holes to speed up the production of drilling at Kato. Derek, that's sort of a technical overview there. I'll hand over to you to describe some of the recent trends in the general market and where we are with BeMetals.
Thanks, John. This is a really simple slide that just illustrates the market cap comparison between ourselves, BeMetals on the far left side, and then we really only have two peers or competitors, I guess you could say, in Japan operating today, both of which have market caps well in excess of $50 million. In Irving's case, close to 60 million, so nearly triple the market capitalization of BeMetals. And I can't speak for the companies technically, but we've really entered into the country this year, has started drilling, coming out with some good results. And as John pointed out today, I'm just looking at the ticker, we're up 30% today, and I can only think that that's attributed to yesterday's results. So hopefully we're going to catch up to these folks, but I just want to illustrate that we're highly undervalued at the moment compared to our peers. And hopefully, as we get more drill results out, that we'll close that gap. And then just looking at an overview where we are in terms of where our share ownership is, not much change here in the last year, but suffice to say that B2 Gold is still one of our largest shareholders at 19%. As John pointed out, we also received a loan from B2 Gold this past month. So that was $5 million US, which translates into just close to $7 million Canadian. So that gives us a decent cash position to work with. We're sitting at about $9 million. That should give us a good runway for getting all the drilling done in Japan, Zambia, and hopefully some work done in Idaho as well. Something that we're working on is increasing that institutional ownership, so that yellow piece of the pie. We have a few institutions that are involved, but really I think that if we do come up with more results like this, that number is only going to increase. And look at our traded volume, or average traded volume. It is very small, and of course the markets are tough in general, but on a day like today, we're up 30% on trading, just under 100,000 shares. Just goes to show you that if you do get some good news, that the stock can get a good reaction out of it. Of course, that can go both ways. But for us, I think there's not a lot of sellers left at these price levels. And so it's a good opportunity to take a look at the stock.
Thanks, Derek.
Okay.
So I think in summary, many of these points we've gone on before, so we won't labor them. The important thing is we do have the backing, as Derek just mentioned, of an excellent technical and financially very strong partner in B2 Gold, who like the results that they're seeing certainly out of our Kato project. Also very encouraged by the relatively early stage, but the fact that we have discovered copper mineralization at our Pengeni project in Zambia, where we know companies like Barrick Gold, for example, operate and are exploring systems around the Lumwana project and mine in Zambia, part of the same system that we're exploring, known as the Zambian Copper Belt. And we're currently finishing our ground electromagnetic survey at Idaho, where we're looking to generate targets to be able to expand the size of that very high grade zinc silver mineralization at South Mountain, to get it to the critical point of potentially being an advanced and a development project for us. On top of that, we continue to look at extensive deal flow. One of the flip sides of the current general market conditions and conditions in the junior market is that there are potentially opportunities coming up for a company that has the technical acumen and backing of a strong strategic partner, as we do with our relationship to B2 Gold. So I think in summary, we'll leave it with our golden opportunity in Japan slide, and pass back to Derek and Cam to wrap us up.
Absolutely. Thanks, John. Great presentation, guys. I'd like to remind everyone in the audience that you can ask questions using the Q&A tab found on the right-hand side of your screen. We already have a question come in from Paul. Given 3 projects across the globe already, why spread yourself even thinner with additional projects that require more money and attention?
Yep, I can answer that one. We're looking for a specific type of new opportunity to bring into BeMetals, a really advanced project, something that we could, in a short timeline, bring into production, establish us in a cash flowing situation, which is obviously good for investors in that we wouldn't have the requirement to return to the markets on such a regular basis to fund our exploration activities.
Right. Okay. Another question, based on your experience of what you've seen to date, what's the potential for growing the Kato project into a significant deposit? And how could it possibly be mined in the future?
It looks at this point that the potential to grow the Kato project is really very, very large. We really like what we're seeing in terms of the geology, and I think that will continue to manifest itself in encouraging drilling results. Ultimately, our first sort of target at Kato would be for a high-grade underground type operation at the property. That would be our first prize there. But there may be other potential development projects. That area of Japan, we've got strong local support from surface rights owners in the area, and certainly from the nearby population centers, a lot of interest and support to potentially bring a project into that area of Japan, which would stimulate economy and keep younger generations interested and potentially move to that area of relatively low population density in Japan.
Okay, great. This question is just to both of you, but why do you think BeMetals is so undervalued versus its peers in Japan?
I don't mind answering that one. So, I mean, I think that we were kind of, I guess, from a public perspective, we were a little bit late to the game. Irving Resources and Japan Gold in particular have been exploring there for some time, as was the private company that we acquired last year. But that was a private company. They weren't putting out results like those other two. So those companies, I think, had a bit of a head start in terms of reaching the market. Japan Gold, we know, are great marketers, and they've certainly traveled around the world. John and I have also traveled around the world doing some marketing, and almost everywhere we go, it seems people are familiar with Japan Gold. So they've obviously done a lot of marketing. So they have, I think, reached out to a number of different investors. So that has probably given them a bit of an advantage over us. And quite frankly, we've kind of been under the radar. We've only really put out 2 sets of results so far. It looks like we're building confidence, and hopefully the market is reflecting that now. And so hopefully that really gives us, I think, a lot of runway to catch up to our peers there.
Yeah, I agree, Derek. I think we've got a good technical background here in Japan. We in our team we have people like Tom Garrigan, who's really a world expert in exploring and developing these type of gold systems, and we're really getting to grips with that geology as we get new data coming out from the ongoing drilling. So I think we over time we will really start to put ourselves on the map. And here locally, even in Tokyo, we're starting to get interest from a number of different groups reaching out to us about our results coming out of Japan.
Great. Speaking of results, next question is, when do you expect to see the next set of results from your Kato or for that matter, other projects?
I think we'll certainly start to see more results flowing out of Japan in the next 4 to 6 weeks. We have been able to gradually increase the pace of the drilling. We've now cemented a good line to get samples out of Japan to accredited laboratory, which is working really well with our friends from Intertech Laboratories in the Philippines. We'll start to see, I think, continued and increasing news flow out of Japan. And I think shortly as well, we'll be putting out information on the commencement of our core drilling follow-up program at our copper exploration in Zambia, in the Zambian copper belt.
Awesome, great. Well, gentlemen, that's all the questions we have for today. So I want to thank you again for coming on, as well as everyone who's attended, especially those who have asked questions. Derek, John, I want to pass things back to you just for some closing remarks before we wrap up for the day, though.
Great. Thanks very much, Cam. And thanks again for the 6th platform. hosting this event. And, we appreciate that opportunity. And as you know, we'll be doing these regular updates for our investors and potential new investors, and hope they can see through the fog of the current markets and see this as really a golden opportunity here to realize some value with some very shrewd investing at current levels.